The City of Johannesburg has adjourned. The meeting is set to elect a new mayor. The council was due to elect Thapelo Amad's replacement, but proceedings were delayed several times today. Let's get the latest now from our reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo, who is at the council chambers. Ziyanda, very good evening to you. Very dramatic and chaotic events happening there, and we still don't know who the mayor of Johannesburg is.
I can't say I'm surprised, Paul. Well, the indications were there earlier on. The first caucus break coming from the EFF, the second one, which was 3 hours long, coming from the ANC, and then the third one from the ATM. The last straw came after a 20-minute break that was requested for all the whips to meet, and after that, Al Jamaa actually requested that they too be given an opportunity to also have their own caucus break. It was then where Speaker Colleen Makubele said that, well, it would seem that none of the councillors in this chamber are prepared for today's meeting, and so she's adjourning until Friday, until all these caucuses have actually come together and figured out what they want to do. A lot of horse trading happening behind the scenes, Paul. We understand that it's largely because of the ANC caucus that's divided on who to go with. Initially, it was the name of Kabelo Kwamanda of Al Jamaa, keeping in line with agreements that the ANC and EFF have had, that they won't field their own candidates in both Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg following that fallout late last year. But later on in the afternoon, we also got word then that the ANC caucus, some within that caucus, were pushing to have their own ANC candidate being fielded. We just saw Panyaza Lesufi emerging in the chambers for the first time since the sitting began today. If body language is anything to go by, he's had a very tough day this afternoon, Paul. And just before this meeting then resumed at 5:20, the ANC members who were initially seated in the chambers then walked out. So it's not clear whether or not by the time Friday comes, whether or not their own issues would have been dealt with. They seem to have exited quite swiftly from these chambers. And one person who might have been watching closely is Marco Buman, because today you were going to field Fundi Ngobeni, your Gauteng leader of Action SA. Now you didn't even have an opportunity to get to that voting stage, despite meeting a quorum, despite when the speaker had said the 3-hour caucus would be to discuss all issues.
Yes, certainly. I think it's very disappointing for us, but let us be very clear. However disappointing it is for us as a political party, the residents of Johannesburg must be beside themselves. It is questionable whether they've had a mayor at the helm for the last few months under the leadership of Thapelo Amad, with the greatest respect. And here, after his resignation is forced and an election is called for a new mayor, they have to watch over a 9-hour day how political parties aligned to the ANC and EFF call one caucus break after the other, and all the while Johannesburg is in trouble. This is a complex city. The challenges are massive. The budget is not enough to deal with it, and there's no one leading the city to address the service delivery issues that residents are living with every day. And while all municipalities are undoubtedly questionable in South African context, let's understand this is the economic hub of our country. As Herman Mashaba always used to say, if Johannesburg works, South Africa works. And right now it's very clear that Johannesburg is not working.
The conduct of the speaker, I saw many of the councillors from the opposition fuming and raising their hands as the speaker concluded adjourned the session, I should say. Your thoughts?
Well, without any question, I think the speaker has revealed that she will toe the line of the ANC and EFF at every turn, as we saw with the previous one-seat mayor and as we will see with their next one-seat mayoral candidate. And that's because one-seat candidates can't actually make decisions. Colleen Makubele cannot stand up there and say, actually, no, it's wrong that you continue to delay the proceedings of this council meeting, because she's beholden to much bigger political parties. And that is the whole problem of this ANC and EFF deal. It is a compromise that is being paid for by the residents of Johannesburg, because actually there was a majority of council that was ready to do business today. There were people ready to hold elections and to get to the job of delivering services in Johannesburg, and that is what is needed.
What's to be said about the fact that it was the ANC itself that had asked for this date of the 2nd of May, and it would seem that it's their own caucus now that was unable to arrange itself or organize itself, and now this meeting has been adjourned to Friday?
Well, it's a mess. Basically, the ANC in Johannesburg has one set of opinions. The ANC in the province, as we know, is busy trying to do a deal with the EFF ahead of 2024. And we've seen that the ANC nationally has ruled out that these minority coalition candidates can continue to lead in coalitions that involve the ANC. And at one point today, it looked like they were going to go ahead in contravention of the ANC's own NEC policy, which is bizarre. But at the end of the day, we're sitting here with absolute confusion. And I suppose that's why Panyaza Lesupi ran out of here at high speed, because while he wants to stand up and grandstand on the question of governance in municipalities that the ANC doesn't govern, he's got nothing to say about this, because what can he say? These are his councillors, and this is what they are running the muck of in the city of Johannesburg.
The law tells us that you've got 14 days from the time Thapelo Amad resigned to elect a mayor. Thereafter, there would be 7 days. How much longer should the residents of Johannesburg put up with these shenanigans?
Well, I don't think they should put up with it at all. I think the residents of Johannesburg have every right, and I would suggest a responsibility, to start to air their anger. They need to ensure that they are expressing themselves, because this is their council chamber. This is their 70 billion rand budget, and this is their city. And at the end of the day, it's very clear that there is no political leadership of the city, and the residents need to apply pressure on political parties who come here with the deliberate intention of delaying and obstructing the progress of service delivery.
Why does it cost 500,000 rand to have these seatings? Lerato Mngobeni from Action SA, your party, said so earlier on when she was objecting to a possible adjournment of today's sitting.
It's a bizarre situation, but I suppose, like so many things in government, what should cost less now costs 500,000 rand. But the only thing I can venture is that the municipality has engaged in a seriously opulent style of hosting meetings. So every time they host one of these council meetings, it is necessary to provide 3 meals a day and snacks and tea and coffee, and to feed councillors throughout the course of the day. And perhaps that's part of the problem. Perhaps as long as councillors continue to come to these meetings and be treated in that kind of fashion, they're going to continue to delay council proceedings, where perhaps it's actually necessary to make sure that this is being done in a far more economical way.
Michael Beaumont is the national chair of Action SA. Well, we'll see on Friday, Mpo, whether or not the city of Johannesburg will have a new mayor. Will the ANC caucus have organized itself in such a manner that its own caucus agrees on which name to go with? Or will we see another round of back and forth shenanigans where we're not sure what's going to take place, and yet a fifth mayor in as many years as 5 is yet to be elected?
Absolutely, more questions than answers. Ziyanda Ngcobo giving us a breakdown of what transpired today and some of the mind-boggling questions as this matter is set to resume again. We leave it there for now.